introduction. From this semester onwards, we've rebranded ourselves to the L.D.R team. So L.D.R stands for Logic, Discussion, and Research. Think of it like discussion plus a little bit more fun. So we are planning to have a lot more engaging sessions this semester than it was last semester. And it's great to meet you all. We see a couple of new faces out here, all joining this semester. So I see that as a great progress and step mark of improvement. So again, welcome you all. So I wasn't there in yesterday's meeting. My name is Sagar Kumar. I'm a second year student in mechanical engineering. I've taken a minor in technology entrepreneurs, as well as plan to do a minor in computer engineering. The computer engineering minor seems tricky, but let's see how that pans out. So for those of you who don't know me, well, here I am. I'm the co-L.D.R lead along with Tanmay. So I think you all met Tanmay yesterday, didn't you?
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay, fair enough. So since we've since you guys got to know me, would you guys want to introduce yourselves? We can start with Smith, right?
Yeah, I can go.
Yeah,
so
sure.
I'm Smith. So I'm from Boston, and then I'm a first year comp sci major, and that's pretty much about me.
You're a comp sci major, you said, right?
Yeah, I'm taking 132 right now with Nelson.
Oh, okay, great. So another comp sci major, cool. We have Caleb next. Is that how Caleb?
Yes, that is. Hi there, I'm Caleb. I am a second year CS and math student. I do a little bit of work in a bunch of different areas, but my specific specialty is in physics processing, because that's how I started off with when I got here, and that's really all there is to say about me.
So you said physics processing. So what exactly is that?
So when I got here, I was considering doing a physics double instead of a math double. And so I was working with the physics department on doing some Monte Carlo simulations on particles, but that kind of got boring, so I just sort of left it.
Oh, okay. So you're doing a CS and you said math, right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's pretty hectic, right? You can imagine a double major having a lot of courses and stuff. Thought of taking one. Too much, decided not to. Anyways, nice knowing you, Caleb. Next, we have Israel. Israel's been there with us for the entirety of our year. So, Israel, want to introduce yourself to everyone?
Yeah, my name is Israel. I'm a junior in fire protection engineering.
Great to have you back, Israel.
Yep.
Okay, and I think our latest member, it's Philip, right?
Yeah, it's Phil. You can just call me Phil.
Oh, Phil. Okay.
Yeah.
Phil, why don't you tell us something about yourself?
Yeah, like Caleb, I'm a comp sci and math double major. In fact, Caleb, I think we have the same 410 class. Yeah, I mean, in terms of what I do, I've worked with AI in the past. I currently intern with Hopkins Applied Physics Laboratory, and we're currently working on using just like trying to diagnose like Lyme disease and other skin illnesses, like the whole class of them. So yeah.
That's pretty cool, not gonna lie.
Yeah, it is. It's I basically I've lived in Maryland my whole life, and actually live like 30 minutes down the road from APL. So I was fortunate enough that in high school I got the Aspire internship, which is like they have like a high school internship thing. So I did that for like my senior year, and then they were nice enough. They're like, "Hey, yo, you want to do this but be paid?" I'm like, "Yes, please." So APL has just continued to allow me to work with them through college, and it's been amazing. So yeah.
So you already have experience in this field, so that's great.
Yeah.
Did I miss out anyone else? Okay, I think I did. Is that Shebuka? I'm sorry if I. Shebuka, Did I pronounce it right?
Yeah, Chibuka.
Chibuka. Okay, great. So Chibuka, why don't you tell us something about yourself?
Well, I just transferred here last fall from Carnegie Mellon. And right now I'm currently undecided, but I'm planning on doing a CS major.
Carnegie Mellon. That's fantastic. So you transferred here for the CS course? Like, what was your motivation?
It was really expensive over there. That was the primary reason.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Great. I think that's Vasant, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Vasant, why don't you tell us something about yourself?
I'm a sophomore CS major. I personally don't have too much experience in machine learning, but it's kind of what I'm interested in. Doing the FIRE machine learning and hopefully learn more through that too.
That's fantastic. I mean, a lot of people don't have experience, but yeah, we've got an entire set of teams to, help you develop your interest as well as to engage you in projects. I mean, we've got Rohit, Sudesh, and Samrat in this meeting right now. So they will tell you more about it as we proceed with this meeting. Okay, I think so. Apart from the core team, Jay, did you introduce yourself? Jay, you there? I think.
I'll go ahead and introduce myself.
Oh, okay.
I'm Austin. I'm a third-year CS student with plans to do that new machine learning track. That's basically it.
There are a lot of people who are, already in the field, so that's going to be great. Going to enrich our group. That's fantastic. Okay, we see 2 chats. Okay, no problem, Samrat. See you soon. Cool. Right. So is Jay in the call? Okay.
Sagar, yeah.
Yeah.
I guess he is.
Okay, I think he's not there. Fair enough. So I think we've all introduced ourselves. I mean, apart from the core team who introduced themselves to yesterday. So okay, we see chat. Okay, fair enough. So first of all, nice to know you all personally. It's great to have a lot of members for our very first meeting. So we'll just go over what our team is. So like it was told yesterday, we are the logic discussion and research team, where we'll be talking about various topics related to the field of AI, ML, and we'll also engage in activities like debate, discussion, as well as activities related to the analytical and logical side of things. For example, you guys will be solving puzzles, you guys will be given problems, and you'll have to write down pseudocodes and explain your thought processes behind this. Because essentially AI is, what is artificial intelligence or machine learning? It's simply, it is basically an enhanced way of thinking that's available in computational systems. And, how you can think in diverse and effective ways. So basically getting as close to the logical side of a human being as possible. And we'll be going a little deeper into our discussions. So our discussions will include all types of topics. So it does not necessarily have to be AI specific. It can be AI with respect to ethics or philosophy. Basically AI and anything. That is the discussion theme that we'll be going throughout this semester. Now, since this is our first discussion hour, we'll keep it very simple. So we've got 2 purposes today. One is to get to know you all, which we did, and talk. So you all excited? Hope you are, because I am. First semester, first meeting. So, right, let's get started. Now, okay. So theme of the hour is we'll be having a no themed free discussion. So what I mean by this is we'll be having various prompts we've got a couple of prompts, but they're not at all related to one another, except for the fact that they are all AI connected. But there's no theme as in AI with respect to, what do you say, a particular field, and all the topics are related to that. So we've got AI with respect to a variety of fields, and we'll be discussing prompts on that. And if time permits, we can discuss topics of our own choosing. So we can come up with our own topics and discuss that or debate that or whatever. So there are no rigid frameworks as to what we'll be discussing. I mean, apart from the fact that they'll be AI related, but we'll just be talking about certain topics. So are you all ready? Fantastic. So our first prompt will be moderated by Tanmay. So Tanmay.
Thank you, Sagar, for introducing me. And here's the prompt. State any day-to-day issues you are facing, only if you are willing. And how can AI/IoT powered technologies help out with solving them? So essentially what I'm asking is like any daily life issues, any small things, small little problems you're facing, and how do you think AI can solve them? So anyone can answer. Please, I would love to have some volunteers. You don't have to raise your hand, you can just speak. So yeah, is anyone willing to talk? I'll hand it over to one of the members.
There are no clear-cut answers for this. I mean, whatever thoughts you have. Okay, we've got Caleb in here. Okay, Caleb, floor's yours.
So this was not quite a regular day-to-day issue, but like this is just something sort of memey that happened with my friends and I recently. So somebody basically created a bet where they were like, I'll give somebody my gaming chair if someone can get the highest return possible on their Robinhood accounts from here till the end of February on whatever they were investing. So the thing is that when dealing with that, I kind of prefer reading as much as possible about what it is that I'm going to put money into before actually going through with it. But even then, what exactly is put out there in the news about future plans isn't always what's going to actually translate into like sales or good valuation. So a lot of the time what I wish could happen is I wish I could like just go through all of the myriad of different articles or whatnot that just come across my way, maybe pick out some things that are generally, associated with good connotations and with, with decent excitement among the consumer base that typically uses the company's services, so I could find a way to maybe translate that into good future value. Right now, I kind of just read copious amounts of articles, and if that could be automated, that would be really nice.
Like Caleb, like you're talking about something like sentiment analysis for like stocks, like is it going to be productive and like whether the company is going to gain profit and like benefit from a new research product, something like that, right?
Yeah.
Or is it more like trying to be able to compress a ton of information to make an informed decision quickly? Is that kind of what you're getting at?
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
That was a pretty good, cool answer, Caleb. I appreciate it. We can have like a couple more if we can. Is anyone else willing to speak up? Anyone want to share something that can answer the prompt?
No one has any particular, thought. Then we could probably discuss more about what Caleb was talking about. So it's basically, before that, anyone has anything that they want to talk about? That just came up.
And I can talk about something. It's probably more simple than what Caleb's is, but just let's say if you went to the gym every day and you lifted or whatever routine you have, it should be, there's a way for it to, if you can have it learn and optimize your workout to maximize whatever gains you want to make, then that's probably a good idea. Or it can like optimize recovery or whatever else it needs to do.
That is a fantastic idea. That's one thing that I always thought about. We always go online and figure out, or we seek advice from others, and try to figure out what our body type is and how best to, use whatever resources we have to augment our body with respect to our body type and our diet and all that stuff. That's actually a good idea. Anyone has any inputs on this or thoughts?
I would say like to kind of expand on it, if you can also move into like sports, make something portable like to watch your form when you're shooting a basketball or like your golf swing. Like I know like at certain stores like Golf Galaxy, they have those machines like watch your swing, but those aren't really open to the public as much. But having something like portable like that, being able to like watch your tennis swing, how much power you're putting into it, and like having that would be
I
really
used to
helpful.
have a racket that does that actually.
I know
Yeah.
Apple Watch has like that tennis swing app that you can use. Like I don't know like how accurate that is.
No, I don't know if I still have it, but I used to have, whenever I played, I used to have a racket that could track your swing.
Yeah, that's sick, but
Doesn't
not
like
gonna lie.
doesn't like Sports Center have something like that? They do like a certain episode where they like take like one player and then just like test their athletic ability. So, I mean, maybe not. I don't know. But I've seen like Sports Center, they do that sometimes.
Yeah, maybe.
In a more, oh, sorry. In a more general sense, I think that something like that could be really, really cool and practical for sort of democratizing better access to exercise, considering how like not everybody has access to a personal gym trainer or anything like that to actively watch over their form and how they're doing certain exercises to maximize things. So, I mean, if perhaps like some sort of object pose estimation technology can just be put into any computer maybe, and then just help them out, it would be, really cool for home exercise,
Yeah, right now what I have is like, I just have a bunch of optimization formulas on an Excel sheet that I use if I ever go lift. So I need to find a way to like try to make that, see if you can add machine learning to it somehow.
Well, just a tiny thing. Yeah, so that can normally be done by clustering algorithms, things that find data points, find similarities, and group them together. That might be one possible field that could potentially implement that. It's pretty cool.
I think I'm going to go off what Caleb said. So it enables to democratize, the access to exercise routines and regimes. So just thinking, when you invest in technologies like this, would it be a wise thing to have it for free? Because you're talking about compressing all the experience that gym trainers have accumulated over the years working with different people, and so there is a certain level of analytics in it, but also a certain level of people, what do you say, person to person understanding that results in particular exercise regimes and things like that. So wouldn't it be a loss making business if such a thing was put out there for free?
Yeah, but there's also like the flip side of it where there is applications for like public use, but there's also an application for peak performance. So there's a lot of teams and a lot of people who are willing to spend big money to gain an edge.
Okay, so you're talking about like a tire system. So all the basic, so it's a tire system where you've got these technologies. I mean, where majority of the people get certain things for free, but then if you pay like a certain membership fee, then you can unlock higher and more, what do you say, precise set of information analytics.
Either that, or you could like have the free version of a model or something that's cheaper for like common use, and then you have like a really expensive version that takes a lot in R&D that you might sell to NFL teams or whatever else you need. So you could just contract that. So then you'd probably personally build them for like each sport or each use case.
Okay, so you optimize those. Okay, optimize them for various sports and regimens. Okay, that's fair. Okay, so Caleb's put a message on the chat which says, also, I don't know if it has to be free. It is valuable enough product that people would pay money for. Okay, yeah, that's true. Because if you've got such a powerful technology, then if you've observed, I mean, if you've noticed the opportunities, then definitely it'll rake in the big bucks. I mean, having a gym trainer anywhere, sign me up. Yeah, that's true. Thing about technologies like this is you're not restricted to a particular geographic location. So it frees you up in the sense that, you don't need to carry your gym trainer around with you everywhere you go. You can have it, okay, cheaper than a gym trainer. Yeah, that's true. It's way, I mean, cheaper, it depends. So if you're looking at top of the range AI powered tech apps or technologies, then probably require more money. But yeah, I see where you're going there. Or,
Fire anytime gym trainer.
Yeah. Oh, wait, what?
Fire anytime gym trainer.
well, yeah, that's there. Okay, Tanmay says AI robot made. Well, I mean, isn't that basically Roomba? That robot that goes around vacuuming places? Or is that?
I mean, that's like an application of which, but it's not like a full made. Like a,
you're talking about like a robot.
Yeah.
That's like only vacuuming in like very specific cases.
Comes with a lot of strings attached. So you're saying an AI robot made as in basically it does the job of a maid as in it does the perfect job of a maid as in does all kinds of tasks irrespective of where they are and how difficult they are, but it's AI powered. Okay, that's
actually Boston Dynamics tried something like this recently, like with their dog robot. They put a hand picker or something like that on it that went around and picks like clothes and all and put it in the basket. But it's not optimized for like every household. Like it's like $1 million things.
Right. I mean, yeah, I've seen a lot of Boston Dynamics, right? Yeah, Boston Dynamic videos.
Yeah.
They make some pretty darn good robots. I'm gonna lie. Yeah, so definitely that's there. But again, the thing about robots like the one that Boston Dynamics are currently developing is that they're too chunky and clunky. I mean, yeah, you can have various robots for various tasks, but optimizing and compressing them into one robot that does everything probably still a couple of years away. And powering an AI powered ones definitely some more time away, because the thing with AI is it's in a very indirect sense a thinking robot. I mean, without the emotional side of things and all, but you get what I'm talking about. It's still a little far off. So yeah, I mean, it's a place where a lot of opportunities are there, but again, it needs a lot of investment. Okay, we've got a couple of other messages. So Rohit says, could the job of a gym trainer then shift upwards in the design and development of this exercise recommendation system? Okay, that's actually an interesting point. Would anyone want to talk about this or share their opinion on this? So you are basically removing a gym trainer from the rigors and putting him into more, what do you say, brain intensive tasks, like
kind of it's like upskilling towards algorithm design as opposed to like what they might have been much more familiar with, which is the physical effort and showing others how to go about it. But it's sort of like moving up the technological kind of spectrum of skills, I guess.
So in essence, what you're saying is you're upscaling the skill set of a gym trainer.
Yeah, in the technology direction. I don't think one skill is objectively better than another, but in technology, yeah.
But I mean, okay, does anyone have have any thoughts about that particular line of thinking?
Are you talking about like they become like consultants, I guess, in a sense?
Sort of, yeah. So they could get paid to help companies design these recommendation systems and end-to-end fitness regimes based on, feedback from people. Like a
Yeah.
gym trainer might be able to gauge, a difference in weight with a certain level of expertise that an AI might take a longer time to arrive at by itself. So that kind of optimization is probably, a potential market for gym trainers to step into if this were a situation. Yeah.
That's why domain knowledge is important.
Yeah, a gym trainer could be a much better tester of your model than other people. And they might also help like get you a better loss function if you have a loss function on some model that you're creating.
Absolutely.
So having a lot of interesting conversations, which is fantastic. Seems a whole lot more, pulsating and engaging. So that's great. We've got another couple of messages out here. So we'll go through those messages and then continue with discussions. Okay. Right. Have the gym trainers train the models instead of people? Well, train models instead of people. Okay, because are you saying that because now gym trainers, because now since the AI technology will become ubiquitous, then the gym trainer, the demand, supply of gym trainers will reduce and therefore make them more valuable in that sense? Is that your line of thinking, or was it just a joke?
I was going more along of the fact that if you were trying to train a model and trying to make it better at giving these recommendations, then having a gym trainer essentially give labels to the model's output or just be able to gauge how it's doing so that it can learn from that feedback, that would be pretty valuable.
Okay, when you say models, you're talking about the algorithms, right? Or are you talking about actual models?
No, the algorithms. Oh no.
Okay, so we're talking about models, right? Okay,
Yeah.
I mean, okay, great.
Yeah,
The
ML
algorithms,
models.
yeah.
Okay, I mean, now that I read it, it makes sense. I mean, how are models different from people? Okay. But, come to think of it, what I said, doesn't that have some kind of credence to it? Because, well, you think, if we come to think of it, technology, what does technology do? In the current age of the internet, technology enables us to do things that previously was only restricted to a certain group of people. Like the fact, let's talk about the age of information. I mean, back in the day when there was no connectivity, we had to go to libraries or we had to go to certain establishments to gain all this information. But now with the development of the internet and connectivity, a lot of people can get that information. So when there are a lot of people with the same thing, so in a way you kind of undervalue that thing. So can we say that with the arrival of AI, gym trainers will go rare but will increase in value? Is that a line of thinking that we could talk about? Or
That's normally what happens when you try to automate or bring in some sort of technological intelligence into something that was done by a human previously. The human, if they can upskill themselves, then they become more valuable, but less people can do that because not everyone has the same opportunities, not everyone has the same education or the same learning ability. And so that's the challenge, which is why we have to try to find new jobs for the people who can't ramp up in a certain direction quickly enough.
then you're talking about retraining people, right? To take up a job of different skill sets. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, so some people are gonna move further in a certain direction, and some people are gonna have to change their whole direction and branch out into maybe a new kind of space to work.
What if people like can't do either though? What if like their whole lives they've just been like, at the same level? Like for example, coal workers. Like
Right.
that's like for example like energy like kind of taking over they may not be able to learn it. So like, and similarly, if people don't know how to do AI, how exactly do they
So
move on from there?
so that it comes down to, maybe progressing collectively as a society into the future. And obviously there's going to be differences, but um, if someone is stuck 20 years behind the present day, then it's unless they have a challenge, it is on them to find ways to upskill themselves for what's needed in the modern world, as much as it is the job of the modern world to also try to provide opportunities. Things like the current new jobs that are promised in sustainable energy, right? That's something that, it's been there, but it hasn't, tremendously been the crux of a lot of energy related jobs. A lot of things have still been towards non-renewable energy. And it is on us to learn how sustainable energy works as much as it is the government's job to provide those jobs. So I think it goes both ways.
Interesting.
So, okay, that was very interesting conversation. So, seems like all the other messages, not really prompts, but so fair enough. So, any other thoughts on this particular prompt? If not, then we could probably move on to the next prompt. Anyone wants to share any day-to-day issue that you've been facing? So I see a couple of members have just joined. So this prompt can be for you too. So if you have any day-to-day issues that you're facing and you think AI can solve that, how can it solve that? And what is that issue that it can solve?
We could always talk about self-driving cars, to be honest, because like with Tesla right now, they say it's self-driving, quote unquote, but like it's probably still years away before they have an actual like reliable self-driving car, and like better cameras equipped on the cars to recognize like debris or other cars and stuff like that. Because I know one issue with Teslas is you have to keep your hands on the wheel. Sometimes at like major intersections, it stops working because it can't see either see lines or there's too many cars in one spot.
I feel like it's like a big risk though too, because like humanity has always driven cars from all I know. So like trusting a computer, which doesn't go, I mean, humans also go with like logic, but like they also kind of think about emotion. So like, I mean, I feel like a car may not think as much, like say you have like a child in there, the car will go more of like a logical approach. So there's just like a huge risk between the self-driving cars.
I honestly don't think it's that far away. It'll maybe be like 2 more years till like legally pretty much hands off. You're not ever driving.
It also kind of, yeah, go ahead, Sagar.
No, carry on.
I think it also might depend on what locality, how much population density there is and how architecture is in that area. Like I read that Tesla came recently to my hometown, Bangalore, India, and I was like, how is it going to survive there? Because streets are like up and down. It's like 4-dimensional traffic. This is insane.
No.
How would a self-driving car be able to navigate that with the same kind of precision and experience that a human would, especially when it's been designed for a lot simpler roads here in the US, maybe with the exception of New Jersey.
Imagine Tesla dodging a pothole.
It doesn't. I will say from experience that they are terrible at dodging potholes. In fact, like you talk about like Tesla's autopilot being having trouble in Bangalore. It has trouble even on like Route 32 in Maryland because like I know it has. The issue is that like I don't know who the heck is in. I honestly feel like yelling at Elon Musk every time it happens, but it doesn't. Every time like the white line on the right, the solid white. Every time that it like diverges out to the right when there's an exit, the car starts following that, and I'm like, don't do that. So
wow.
It's not just pothole. Like even there were issues in California, like the autopilot couldn't detect a divider, and the Model X ran into it, and the driver died, unfortunately.
Yeah, no, it's, and even like as you're saying, in like, in a case of like a barrier or traffic or something, I mean, I don't know how much of it is like, hey, we literally cannot stop this car fast enough, and how much of it is just, bad software, or like, not really like not good enough AI. But it's, I mean, as I said, there's a reason that, like, I think Tesla advises only use this on highways and stuff, because like if the minute that you had any sort of congestion in a tight area, because like on highways, if there's a traffic jam, it's actually pretty fine. But the minute that there's congestion in like a small area, like a city road or something, it starts going really badly really quickly.
Actually, in English 101, I did a paper on autonomous cars, and so like in my research, I found out that Tesla, like there are about 5 levels of autonomous
Yes.
levels
Yeah.
in cars. So, and like Tesla is just level 3, so like we cannot expect it to be completely autopilot for. So
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, Tesla is not at the forefront of
Mhm.
autonomous cars. It's a Mobileye, an Israeli company, which is at the forefront of this autonomous cars, and they claim their level to be 4 or 5. That is hands off and mind off. And
Mind,
they're actually working a prototype in Israel, so it's not a concept anymore.
I think there's just only one car made by Audi that is level 4 so far, and nothing more than that.
Did we say mind off?
Mind off.
Yeah, that's
We
a
did say
level of
that.
autonomous where you
So
can just
what?
like be talking or like concentrating somewhere else. Like car will tell
Like you
like
can attend
you
a
don't have,
meeting.
yeah, you
Okay,
don't
and
you don't have to
You
take
can drive
control.
anyway, but
You can attend the BigTh discussion session while driving.
right. So so what? When you say have concentration of, like, have they tested that particular model on busy congested roads, or have they done it on what do you say, a specific set of roads? Which are, what has been
No,
the
like this company in Israel has tested on like all roads. Like they have even dodged cows and all that stuff.
kidding?
I think that
What is the
model
new?
would work in India perfectly, dodging cows. Okay,
That
that's a
is true.
political joke.
That's, I mean, a lot, especially in Delhi. And I remember going to the capital of India, Delhi, and so I think it was Old Delhi or something. Could see those cows walk on the road, and it was actually a fun experience to drive around them. It actually felt like some kind of an adventure out there. So,
Have you met the
Sudesh, why
deer
don't
in
you
Virginia, bro?
wait? Was that Shreyas?
Yes, of course. I mean, have you
Yeah,
met the deer in Virginia? They don't cross the road until you're driving on it.
Right.
really? It's interesting. So it's clearly not an India only thing. It happens here also. So, I mean,
No.
it's very.
Deers cross the road. Cows sit on road.
Yeah, cows
That's
just
true.
sit on the roads.
I'm most surprised that you even attempted driving in India. I'd rather die than try that. So like
Feel like a
anytime, like my family's from Mumbai, so anytime I go to Mumbai, I'm just like, I don't even want to be anywhere near this. Okay, I'm good.
Just get like a cab. They usually know what they're doing.
Yeah.
About roads is, yeah. The thing is, when you say that, I mean, automation is still far away. I mean, I'll tell you, we had, I mean, I don't know how many for mechanical engineering majors, but we are as engineering majors out in our first semester we have this course called ENES 100. So we basically have to develop overstand vehicles. So this is, I mean, engineering majors would know about this. So basically, what that car does, so what we're supposed to do is we're supposed to complete a set of missions, and one of those missions involve obstacle navigation. So if we've already cracked the code of obstacle navigation in a way, then what is to say that we're just a couple of R&D efforts away from developing the perfect self-driving vehicle? I mean, why is it that we still are saying that it's a concept that is a little far off into the future? Because I mean, we have the capabilities, right, of obstacle navigation and things like that. So what is it that's holding us back?
The holding us back factor is the uncertainty of any phenomenon that can cause uh, that can cause anything. Like it can be anything, like obstacle, and like not necessarily that an accident is caused by any obstacle, but like it can be any unpredicted factor that can be, like for example deer. Like you cannot, like you maybe you can train a model to detect deers, but let's say you cannot train something, let's say some failed truck ahead of you or something like that. Like some, okay, how do I put this, like some unexpected factors that even humans cannot judge, like, so like it is far beyond to train AIs for that, but somehow machine learning does that.
I would say like it has to be refined more. Like with what you said, like imagine like there's a truck in front of you and some like milk gallon or like carton falls off of it. How would it react? Or if there's like a small cat in your neighborhood that's like lower than like the car itself, and like will there be front cameras that can detect it? What if it blends in with the night background like a black cat? Like it's gonna be hard for it to notice.
So you're saying that, though we have a basic sense of what obstacles are, it'll take, what do you say, a monumental effort to perceive things as obstacles in certain cases and not. So that situational understanding is still, are you saying that the technologies still don't have that situational understanding of perceiving what is, an obstacle or what is not, or things like that?
I mean, people still crash all the time when something unexpected happens. So I would say it'll get good enough to a point where it can do like 95% of what a human can do. And then maybe a human's 5% better. But at that point, it's okay risking, because it's a risk to drive anyway. So at that point, you save time and you're taking a 5% risk versus what you can do.
But that's where the conversation about AI becomes a whole lot different. Tanmay, I'll just talk about this one thing. So think about, the whole risk thing about AI is that the purpose why we invest a lot of resources into AI powered technologies is to, in a way, eliminate the risk. So if we even go ahead and present our case telling, the stakeholders that there still is a risk in this technology, that is more than enough to put people off. So what are your thoughts on that? Anyone can talk.
If it's good enough to save like most people's time, there's a inherent risk in driving in the first place. So if you can get the AI's risk lower than an inherent driver's risk, then for me, it's like if it saves enough time, at least in my perspective, it's good enough for me to use it whenever I want to.
I agree with this too. I think maybe that all it really comes down to is just, fixing all loose ends when it comes to self-driving.
Any ideas as to how we might measure that risk to see if it's lower than the average driver's equivalent? Is there any sort of, because statistics might be dangerous, right? I mean, human judgment.
Generally, I don't know how Tesla specifically does it or whatever, but like, I guess there could be like some sort of AI testing facility in which they place a car somewhere and then give it like certain situations, and then we'll kind of just see how it reacts to it.
Right. If it fails, maybe like 10 out of every 100. But then how would we compare that to the human thing? Do we pull statistics? Because
there are probably some video cameras of previous mistakes that humans made. So, I guess we could probably look at that and learn from that and just try to make sure the car doesn't do that. Maybe it will anyway, but make it do that less often than a human will.
I think that we're putting a little bit too much emphasis on the risk of specifically AI when it comes to this particular technology, mainly because AI doesn't have to be the only technology that's leveraged here when it comes to maintaining safety. Like Tesla has more than just particularly computer vision and whatever location and whatever motion prediction systems like Kalman and particle filters to navigate. It also uses ultrasonic sensors as well in case if AI fails and there happens to be an obstacle around. And ultrasonic sensors, even though they can like vary in their measurements, can be pretty dang good at giving an objective view of what's in the environment. So even if AI fails, there are definitive physics-based systems that will succeed and can increase safety. But I guess kind of, I would like to sort of ask any like engineers in the chat, when it comes to some of these models for navigation, like the particle and Kalman filter, I don't deal with this stuff. How accurate is it? And we do have the ability to train it, but like, as a model itself, would you say that it's safe enough to actually be used in everyday life pretty consistently?
You're talking about, okay, so I mean, I'm an engineer, so are you talking about sensors in particular?
In the context of like not leveraging everything on predictive AI, sensors, yes, but in the context of like navigating environments using AI, I was kind of wondering how safe you would say already existing techniques like using particle and Kalman filters are.
Yeah, I'm not aware about what Kalman filtering is. Would you want to shed light on that?
It's a way of sampling. It's a way of sampling information and then estimating distributions on the basis of that information using this thing called the Markov property. And robots, it's actually one of the most commonly used techniques robots use in order to know where they are, as they say. I mean, I just learned about it, so I can't really talk about it in detail, but I have Google Slides on it.
Oh, okay. Okay, Rohit's got something to say about it. Rohit, you'd want to share it?
Yeah. So it seems I just did a quick Google search of particle and Kalman filtering, and these are really interesting, by the way. They seem to be like, statistical methods of determining, where along the distribution and outcome lies. I may be wrong, correct me if I am. But I think that there is room to want to rely on predictive models that AI, we're currently working on within AI, because reinforcement learning is doing fantastic in environments where we have new models being created that can surpass, like peak human performance. At least, in things like gaming, and we might be able to soon transfer that into something as real time as driving. But if it can figure out something as complicated as a game environment, it's continuous, it's not a discrete action space, then I think there is a lot of room to want to rely on predictive AI. But the cost of that is the computational power required to do so, which I think the statistical methods you were highlighting would probably not need. And they'll be a lot faster and a lot easier in terms of compute power.
We're talking about AI predictive models having effective computational power.
Vision models in spaces like reinforcement learning do require a lot of training in order to be able to perform well. But statistical models do really good sometimes, but they don't need as much training. But the question is, statistical models sometimes, to my limited knowledge, paint situations with a broad brush, but predictive AI kind of sort of tailors its response to a situation with the specifics of that situation sent in as inputs.
Oh, okay. So, okay, yeah, that makes sense. So you're saying that this is more specific as opposed to the generic nature of statistical models?
I guess, yeah.
Oh, okay.
I might be wrong, and there might be something out there that completely contradicts what I said, but that's
I mean,
just
that's the
to
whole
my
purpose of
knowledge.
discussion. So the whole purpose of discussion is not to be right or wrong. It's about sharing ideas, opinions, and whatever little things so that we can collectively enhance ourselves or better ourselves or improve our curiosity. So don't feel burdened that you must be bang on point whenever you share your thoughts. This wing entertains anything and everything AI. So don't feel hesitant to talk about anything. So just feel free and talk or discuss. So I see that we've got only 5 minutes. So this whole prompt took about an hour, almost an hour. So let's see if there are any chats. There are quite a few. So we won't be able to go through all of this. What we'll do is we'll go on to the next prompt. Won't keep it that long. So for those of you who put chats, I'm sorry if I'm not able to talk about that. So I'll present the next one, which is, okay, how can AI revolutionize hiring process? Okay, that seems, okay, let's talk about this one then. Yeah, actually, let's talk about this. So how can AI revolutionize job hiring practices? So I'll actually want to talk about one thing that I just researched about. It's called Hiring View, right? Is that right, Tanmay? Hiring View, VUE?
Higher view, I think.
Yes, higher view. It's higher view. But yeah,
Oh, higher view.
I
Right.
like. Well, that was like when I was just applying for like JP Morgan, they used higher view. Essentially, what you would do is just like record yourself on a video to just like answer some question, and then do a bunch of like either multiple choice questions, and then in my case, I was applying for a software engineering job. I had to do 2 coding challenges, so higher view helped in that regard.
Tanmay, would you want to talk about what higher view was so that people who are not aware can understand?
Higher view is essentially like a system that kind of like allows you to perform certain like sort of like interview or like pre-interview questions for a certain job. So for example, JP Morgan uses it, and essentially mainly the main thing that higher view has is like a video chat, or not video chat, but like video recording system, in which that like you allow yourself to basically record your video, kind of like Zoom, but like to just answer questions. So yeah, that it just kind of like allows the employer to just, you know, figure out like what kind of person you are and like how well you do for the job. It just makes it kind of easier for them to decide.
So basically, and I further read about that. So what HireView does is they use I think they use facial recognition models, right, Tanmay?
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, so they use that to gauge how the interviewee is, if he's nervous, if he or she is nervous or confident, or if there are certain aspects about that particular person who, you know, which doesn't seem to fit, you know, the particular job description or the particular person. So basically it's a model that goes the closest to judging if a person is a suitable fit based on both cues about his job experience, his or her job experience, as well as those fine personality traits or, you know, habits that one ends up, you know, displaying on the interview table. So why I decided to start a new prompt towards the end of the session is because I want to give you all an opportunity to think about this, because our next meeting, we will start off with this prompt and then we'll proceed with that. So this is, you might want to research about HireView and other AI related job hiring practices or technologies, and come ready for the next meeting with whatever you have got to say. So does that sound good, all of you? Hope it does. Wait, someone said something?
Yeah. When's the next meeting?
So the next meeting is okay. So it's same 1 week from today, same time, 4:30. So our discussion or LDR meetings will be held on today's Friday, right? Yeah. Fridays from 4:30 to 5:30. So that's the standard time.
Okay. All right. And this is the topic that you want to discuss next time.
Yeah. So you guys just research about this and come up with findings. Anything is fine. So we'll start off with this topic and then we'll go on to whatever is left for the day. I mean, whatever else we plan out for that day. So with this, we come to the end of our LDRR, our very first LDRR. So must say it was a very engaging session. This is like the first time I can say that we've had such an engaging session. So thank you all for those of you attended and hope to see you all in future meetings. So now I'll hand over the reins to Rohit. Rohit, it's all yours.
Thanks, Sagar. Today is Sammy. Sammy's gonna get everyone started with the first meeting of the Pioneers.